So we know GTA 6 isn't coming out for a good couple of years, and hopefully they're going to make that game as great as they possibly can, and it's Rockstar and it's GTA, and they probably will. We need to talk about GTA Enhanced and Expanded because this game's coming out in November. While it is going to be free for the first 3 months to PlayStation players at the very least, it's going to be full price after that. So in order for them to justify potentially charging people a third time for the same game, it's going to need to offer a lot more. So I've written down these 10 things. I've decided to sort of compile a list of things that I think are absolutely needed. Some of these are more of a wish list and less likely. Other things on this list are outright predictions and absolutely needed. And I'll go through which one's which. So at number 10, I've got probably the least important and least exciting thing. Some sort of tease for GTA 6. What I've put in my list is maybe we meet a new character, and we do some missions for them, either in the story mode or in online, probably online, so that's where their focus is. And then towards the end, they board a plane and they leave for example, Vice City, if that's where the next game is going to be set. And this would be the character that we bump into in online in GTA 6. I think that just sort of adding a tease like this for GTA 6 is just sort of a way of keeping the good faith that GTA 6 is in fact coming. Obviously, we know GTA 6 is going to be released at some point, and I think that adding some sort of tease to it like that, like introducing a character that's probably going to play some sort of role in GTA 6, is probably the best way of doing that, to sort of bridge the gap between the two games and just sort of give us something for the time being, just sort of saying, hey, this is an open-ended plot thread. GTA 6 is coming, and this is something we'll explore more when GTA 6 comes out. This character would have to be really interesting and have some sort of enigma about them, some sort of mystery about them that we'd want to learn more of. Leave it open-ended when they leave, and I think that's just sort of a nice little thing they can add to sort of tease the release of GTA 6. Again, starting off this list pretty weak. This is probably the least interesting thing out of everything I put on this list. But nonetheless, I think that it's a pretty interesting idea nonetheless. I think it's something that they absolutely should, at the very least, look into. The next thing I've got is probably not very likely because they've been teasing it now for 8 years, and that's story mode DLC. We all love Michael, Trevor, and Franklin, and the story mode for GTA 5 was absolutely brilliant. And I know I'm not just speaking for myself when I say I'd like to see some more adventures that these three get themselves up to. Maybe some protagonists from the other GTA games like Claude or Nico can show up and have some sort of appearance. Something like that, I don't know, but some sort of expansion to the story mode would be nice. Rather than just playing through the story mode for a third time, it would be nice to actually finish the story mode and then have some sort of added extra bit towards the end, a good couple of hours of extra story mode content, just sort of tying up the loose ends from the story mode and just sort of giving us that story mode DLC packaged in with the game rather than it being a separate update down the line. I know that we've all kind of given up on ever waiting for this story mode DLC, but if they could give us something, just some sort of post story, that would be nice to add in to GTA Enhanced and Expanded, because I don't know about anybody else, but as someone who's been playing GTA 5 since release, since 2013, all the way back on the PS3, we've all been waiting for the story mode DLC. It's always been that sort of thing hanging over our heads. We remember them announcing it. It wasn't just teased, they announced it, and then nothing came of it, and then we got the report saying that Rockstar just weren't focusing on single player anymore. But that single player base is still there, and just adding some sort of post-story gameplay for a couple of hours after the story mode of Enhanced and Expanded would be nice. Just sort of to give us that and to lay us over a little bit after all the teasers we've had over the last couple of years. Next, I've got destructible environments. I don't know about anybody else, but I'm really, really sick of shooting a building with an RPG, for example, and nothing happens. Even if they don't allow us to destroy buildings, having some sort of wear and tear on them after shooting them with an RPG or crashing into them with an aeroplane would just sort of add that immersion to the game. And it would be more interesting, for example, to kill someone by someone flying a plane into a building, a bit of that building falls off and lands on top of another player. It's just another element and another level of gameplay that I think would really make the game more interesting, more realistic. Obviously, they can't have us destroy buildings because especially in an open world online environment, It's going to greatly affect other players, especially when it comes to things like safe houses. I'm not saying destroy buildings, but at least have some sort of destructibility to them. Would be a nice little thing to add. I think indestructible environments is something that should be left in the past, because games these days are going for more realistic sort of outcomes, and shooting a building with an RPG and it just stands tall like nothing happened is definitely not a realistic outcome. Next, I've got something that people have been asking for many, many years. It's being able to do sell missions and restocks offline or in invite-only sessions. You all know what it's like. You're trying to do a sell mission, you're trying to restock, and some dickhead on an oppressor comes over and blows up your shit. It's not fun for anyone. Even the person on the oppressor will get maybe 3 seconds of enjoyment out of that. It's not fun for anyone involved, and the fact that our businesses can be raided in invite-only sessions and we can lose our shit, but we can't sell our shit, kind of feels like Rockstar are trying to have their cake and eat it too. I know that when GTA first came out, it was all about the mayhem, but it's become more structured than that since the game's lived on. And one of the relics from the past sort of way GTA ran is encouraging players to blow up each other's shit. Players don't need to be encouraged to do that. They're going to do that anyway. So to remove that as a core element of the game would definitely add a lot more replayability to it. I know a lot of people who stopped playing GTA because they didn't have the money to buy the stuff they wanted. And one of the reasons for that is because the main way you could make money in the past is by doing the sell missions, and they couldn't sell their stuff because their stuff kept getting destroyed. It should be one of two things. Either if we're in invite-only sessions, our supplies should not get raided. So you can have the police show up at your cocaine factory and then you've got to go and get it back, or you can have a rival gang show up and destroy your stuff, and then you've got to pay the money to reset up the business and restock the business, and you could lose millions and millions of dollars by having this happen. And it's really unfair that in invite-only sessions or offline sessions, this can still happen, but we're not allowed to sell our stuff. It's literally a lose-lose situation. Some people just want to jump on GTA and have fun with their friends, and you know what? We should be allowed to do that, and being able to sell stuff and restock stuff in online or invite-only sessions is something that should have been done, honestly, years ago, but I'll take it in enhanced and expanded if that's the way they want to go. My next point is missing San Andreas areas from the original San Andreas game. I've put down areas like San Fierro and Area 69 as the main two that come to mind. San Fierro had this San Francisco-style look. It was obviously San Francisco is a very unique looking place, and San Fierro obviously imitated that, the big hill and the Golden Gate Bridge and all that sort of stuff. You could add an Alcatraz type area, which I don't believe was in the original San Fierro, and things like that. Area 69 would probably come with its own heist, where you probably have to break in and steal a UFO and release a captured alien or something like that. They probably wouldn't be able to help themselves, but to do that sort of stuff. But I mean, to be fair, to me, that's okay, because we already know aliens exist in GTA. There's been Easter eggs where you can find them for years, so we know that aliens exist. We know that they're on Earth in GTA. So Area 69 feels like a perfect fit for heists, to go in there and free a rescued alien. I know a lot of people would complain about that. In my opinion, it would be perfectly justifiable, considering the fact that we know that aliens exist on Earth in GTA. Area 69 and San Fierro are just two areas that I came up with as the two that stand out the most to me, the two areas they could do the most with. Again, San Fierro could have had a heist where someone's locked up in Alcatraz, and you have to break them out, essentially, like a more updated, more high-stakes prison break heist, but obviously with a bigger payout and more security and all that sort of stuff. But there's other areas from the original San Andreas. I don't know why they didn't add more areas to San Andreas as the game lived on, because I understand why, when the game first came out, they literally only had 2 of the areas in it. Because GTA 5 was a lot bigger, the graphics were a lot better, and it probably took a lot longer to build these areas than in San Andreas. But the game's been out for 8 years now, and I don't understand why they've not even tried to add any of the missing San Andreas areas. To me, that just seems like a no-brainer, and Enhanced and Expanded is the perfect time to add these areas to the game. It doesn't have to be San Fierro and Area 69. Those are the main 2 that jumped out at me, that they could do the most with by adding different heists and all that sort of stuff, being the most unique areas that I could think of missing from the game. But there's other areas they could add as well, and I feel like Enhanced and Expanded is the perfect place to actually reintroduce these areas with a lot more of these updated features to them. Next, I've put something that really doesn't really bother me, it's not really something I would want to do, but I know there's a big market for it, so I figure why not give people a way to do this. You've got a car meet mode. Now, obviously, GTA at its core is all about the cars, and people love meeting up and doing car meets and street races and stuff like that, but the problem is, in public servers, you're going to have a dickhead on an oppressor come over and blow you all up, or someone at the car meet is going to pull out a grenade launcher and start killing people and blowing up everyone's cars. And no one likes that. People just want to show up. They want to have their car meet, have a look around. They want to do the races, and they don't want any of that other bullshit. So why not have a mode specifically just for people to do car meets where they can't pull their guns out and kill everyone, and no dickhead on an oppressor is going to show up and kill everybody that way. You know, they can meet up, they can have a look at each other's cars, they can talk over voice chat, they can do street races. It's not something that appeals to me, but there's a big market for it, so why not add something like that? Next, we've got Gang Wars. Again, GTA at its core was all about gangs, especially in San Andreas. It's all about the criminal life, and they've moved away from that a lot. So why not go back to it? We've all had our clan tags and stuff like that since the very, very first day of GTA Online. Why not do something with it? Have a mode where we can literally take over areas of the map, and you have to go around. Say you can recruit NPCs to your organization, and you take over areas on the map, and you can go around to other people's areas and kill their gang members and take the area for yourself, and things like that. It would probably have to be a dedicated mode, because I personally wouldn't want to be driving around the map and just be attacked because I'm part of a different gang. So it would probably be a separate mode in online, unless I can find a way of making it some sort of opt-in system, maybe a turn on Gang Wars or something like that in the menu. I don't know how that would work. But it's an idea I had, to go back to GTA at its core, at its basics, and just a way of appeasing the people that think that GTA has gone way too far in the militarization side of things, and further away from the criminal organization type of thing. So I think Gang Wars makes sense. Set up your own gang. Recruit NPCs is the important part, because the way I picture it working is, if you're going to take over another area, you go over there and you kill members of the other person's gang. Hell, make it like Watch Dogs. Give these people backstories. Let me recruit NPCs to my gang and feel like they are members of my gang, so that way when they're killed by other players, I'm pissed off and I want to go over there and get some revenge. That sort of thing. I think that would be really fun, and I think San Andreas is the perfect place to do it. And since we're going to be sticking around in San Andreas for a lot longer, why not add it to Enhanced and Expanded? Up next, we have what's probably going to be the most divisive one. Some sort of post-apocalypse mode. I want to see San Andreas after a nuclear bomb has fallen on the city, and all the buildings are derelict and destroyed, all the cars have been sort of melted into the ground, and all that exists are essentially Road Wars style cars. Make it a part of online mode, switch on and off post-apocalypse mode, and you put into a lobby with other players depending on what their setting is. And you can have either Fallout style ghouls and things like that, or you can have it be a zombie mode, but something where essentially a nuclear bomb has fallen on San Andreas, and you and other players either have to turn it into a DayZ type thing, like you've got the NPCs, which are all either ghouls or zombies, whichever route they go down, and you have to build your own fortress type of thing out of the remains of Los Santos. Maybe you want to turn the airport into a fortified fort for you and your teammates. Maybe you want to do it to the military base or things like that. Bunkers as well. Bunkers are perfect for that sort of thing, because that is where you'd want to hide in a post-apocalyptic scenario. So it's another sort of feature to add to bunkers, which I feel like, especially with the Cayo Perico heist, which I'll get into in a minute as a little spoiler, bunkers aren't really used that much in GTA, so it's another way of giving us another facilities as well. It's another thing they can add. Maybe it's an alternative scenario to the Doomsday heist where we did not stop the nuke. Something like that. I think that would be interesting. Obviously, it would pair you up with other players who either have post-apocalypse mode on or off, and you can switch between the two at will. So I think that would be an interesting thing for them to add. Last, but certainly not least, I've got probably the most ambitious and least likely scenario on this list. Think Cayo Perico. But instead of El Rubio, it's you. So let's say in Enhanced and Expanded, you can buy yourself an island. Let's say you can add things to the island like your own compound and things like that, your own treasures, and you can even set how much they're worth up to a certain amount. Let's say you set up a heist involving this island with between one other and 4 other players. You then have to decide what security measures are on your island. The other players have to choose the entry routes and try and rob you. Heists are going to stay in GTA. They're probably the most popular and biggest money making method in the game. And I feel like they're kind of getting a bit stale. You know, do the setups, rob some NPCs, kill some NPCs. I think it'd be more interesting if the person we were robbing was another player. Now, obviously, you'd enter into this with other players. You would know you're about to get robbed. You set up your own defenses. You buy security for so much. You can only afford so much security. You can set up your own security on the island. You choose where the gunmen are, what types of gunmen, what loadouts they have. If you know that they're going to be entering from the sea, maybe you put a few submarines in the water, and they have to try and find a way of getting around that. Maybe they're dropping in from the sky, so you have an alarm system in the sky. All these things are very expensive. You can't afford to have all of them, but you have to try and outwit the people trying to rob you. And then when they are in your island and they're doing the robbing, it's up to you to get in your helicopter or whatever and go after them and try and kill them before they leave with your treasure. I don't know. It's a mode that me and my friends have been talking about, and we all think it would be a very interesting take on the heist scenario, and that's why I put it at number 1, because I think that this is something the heists need, because they are starting to feel a bit stale, and I feel like just adding new scenarios to them isn't enough to savor them. And I think that adding that human element to the person that we're robbing is kind of the best way of doing it. Maybe it doesn't have to be an island, maybe it's something else, but some other scenario where essentially you have to buy something, you can make your own compound, and the other players have to try and rob you. When you set it up, you choose who you're robbing, who's on the team doing the heist, and it's all about trying to premeditate what the other players are going to do. So those are my 10 things that I would like to see in Enhanced and Expanded. Some of these things are more realistic and are needed. Some of these things are essentially just a wish list, but as unlikely as they are, they would be very fun. But those are my ideas. Drop your comments in the comment section below. Tell me what you think of my ideas and tell me your ideas as well. Let's be honest, we all want GTA 6, but Enhanced and Expanded is what's coming out in November. So let me know what you want to see. I've been James the Thunder. Please do hit the subscribe button here on YouTube. I'm a small-time YouTuber, and any of your support is greatly appreciated. Also, hit the like button and drop a comment in the comment section below, because it really does help with the YouTube algorithms. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.